legends, I'm back at it again. And I don't know if you know, but I'm on this big mission to do my heat management, to try and maintain my underbonnet temperatures, the radiator temperature, the coolant, the oil, everything, so I can reliably sit in traffic, roll racing events, and not have to stress at all about it. So in this one, I'm doing the radiator and the shroud and the fan. So I actually have a really good radiator in here at the moment. It's a Koyo Rad radiator. It's an inflow triple pass bad boy. It's what I had when I had the SR20 in it, and with the SR20 with the clutch fan on the rear pulling in, it was amazing. Temperatures, like, honestly never got over like 80 degrees Celsius, even on the dyno, revving the crap out of it, to be honest. But as most will know, when you put a 6-cylinder in an S chassis, whether it's an RB or a 2J, you lose a lot of clearance behind the radiator where you'd normally put the fans. So with this setup, I had to put two 12-inch fans on the front of it and push into it, and they're just not that reliable. Fair enough, I'm only using like Aeroflow 1400 CFM fans. But they just can't sort of cope with it. So it's okay when I'm driving around and I've got wind force coming in. I've ducted all the intercooler and the radiator. It actually works really well. But as soon as I sit in traffic and the oil temps are at a reasonable oil temperature, and I've got no vented hood, it just starts cooking in there, and eventually it wants to overheat. Now it holds on to it and it clutches onto it for quite a while, but eventually it just gets too hot. Now I don't want that, I want it nice and reliable. So what I've done is I've purchased a tucked radiator, which will tuck the radiator so it brings it further forward, from Fenix. I didn't know that it actually did one, but Fenix radiators, they're over in New Zealand. And I don't know too much about this company, but generally anything from New Zealand is really well made because they're absolute legends over there. So I'll be able to show and do a bit of a review on the quality and the fitment on this. So and then I've also done, I've got a really good fan. So I've got one of those SPAL fans, SPAL or something like that. They're Italian made, they're quite expensive, so it should do the trick. And then I'm going to put a shroud on it. And now there's a little bit of controversy between running a rear shroud or not running one. Basically, what I understand, it comes down to you run a rear shroud with one fan. If you're going to be using it as a street car, it's going to be sitting and idling a bit. That's where you get the maximum from it. But if you're doing a track car and you're at high speeds all the time, you probably wouldn't want a shroud on the back because you want all of the air just gushing through it. So you've got to pick one or the other. I'm going to pick doing the shroud first, and we'll see how it goes. So I like to do a custom shroud. I've already got the fan. The fan's 3000 CFM. I think it's CFM. That cranks. That's absolutely going to crank. So that's really good. It's double what I've got here already. And then I have to do, like with this, this tucked radiator, I'm going to have to do like a swirl pot style radiator cap. I'll have to weld it up and do a custom jobby on that, so that should look pretty good. And then I'm going to have to come up with a trick way to connect it to the top 2JZ, I guess, outlet pipe coming from the top of the engine there, so that should come up really well. This should be a pretty good video, and just like the oil cooler, should be top notch, man. So I'll get to it and let's see how we go. Okay, so just a quick review on what I've got at the moment. As you can see here, there's just no clearance there. Like there's probably about 60 millimeters there of clearance from the face of the radiator to whatever it's first going to clash with, you know. So basically what's going to happen is the tucked radiator is going to sit underneath here. Boom. So that's going to give me another 60 mil there, so about 120, which is just enough to fit the shroud and the radiator fan, and it should work really, really well. So on my GDR, what I've got is this is going to be the same setup pretty much. This doesn't run a tucked radiator because it doesn't need to, but it's going to be a shroud very similar to this. And then just one big fan on the rear there. So the fan that I do have for this 2J is the exact one I'm going to run on the GDR as well. So they both will have the same setup, which is pretty cool. Well, except that's a Hypertune radiator, so that is next level. I'm not going to lie, but there's a massive price difference in that. Okay, so here's some of the equipment that I use. This is just a really good drop saw. A band saw would be perfect, but I just don't have one of those yet. But this is a really good drop saw with a good blade that does aluminium. Got one that does stainless as well. And obviously a linisher, and then a red Scotch-Brite pad on there, which is good. And I guess that's my jigsaw, aka bandsaw for the meantime. And this is what I've come up with so far. So it's not welded on yet. So I've got a Mishimoto. I think this is a small radiator neck. So that goes on there. Then I've got this top plate. Boom. I've got, this is about 130 mil long by about 70 mil wide diameter. And then I've got a bottom plate. So what I am going to be doing is it's going to sit around about here, and I'm going to have the inlet for the radiator a little bit further down and the inlet from the engine a little bit further up, and it's pretty much just going to join those two and have a high point. So the filler neck's going to be the high point so the system can bleed properly. And that's the radiator sitting in there for now. I need to give more clearance at the moment, but at least it's sitting in there. But yeah, I need a bit more clearance because once I get the shroud on with the fan, it is so close. But it's going to be grunty and a lot better than before. Come up pretty good. Obviously haven't welded it just yet, but I've just done the hole in the center there, so that all lines up nicely. Hello. Okay, so not too bad, got to admit. So I have tidied up those welds down there with the linisher. The top obviously isn't welded yet, but I have welded underneath here. Ugh, doesn't look that great, does it? Anyway, it fits up very nice. So, boom. Okay, and then that'll go, as I've probably already shown, but that'll go, you know, in the middle there somewhere. Connect to that and connect to that. Okay, just pulled off the intake piping, air filter pipe, and the hot side of the just off the turbo going to the intercooler. Golby's parts, heat wrap, which is going to match the turbo blanket and the downpipe, which is cool. Hopefully they're pretty damn close. Golby's didn't have the same color, because they do this titanium color in this 50mm Pro Gate beanie, which is cool. Look at it. It's like a turbo beanie. It's awesome. Anyway, a couple of springs there. Got some stainless cable ties, whether or not I'm going to use them or not. And I'm only going to be doing the top half that sits inside the engine bay on this pipe, and 85% of this pipe, and then the air filter connects on there. Nice and tight. Air filter in, turbo in, 4-inch. There's this one as well. That came up nicely, so I stopped it there and it continued just in raw aluminium. Really should replace that guy there as well, but it makes it easy to install. Keeps some of this heat away from it. Should come up pretty good. All these little things should help. Okay, so got the radiator back out, all lines up nicely. I do want it to sit further back, so I've had to cut off the mounts. I've tidied them up pretty good. They will definitely weld up, that's for sure. And then I've got this one ready to tack on, and basically I'm moving the radiator closer to the intercooler or the front of the car by about, I think it's about 17 millimeters on the top mounts. So should tuck it in real nice. Okay, so for the fan shroud that's down there, it'll sit on here with the 4 mounts, but I've also built this out of angle, just did some miter cuts and everything like that, and this is pretty much just to enclose it, so there's no gaps for the air to get in. So obviously the shroud will sit on top of there, and then I'll probably stitch weld the shroud on in multiple places, and then she's a bolt on bolt off affair, so pretty good. Thank you. And now I'm having a little look at the finalizing the bottom mounts. So factory, we use these big mounts, well, with a rubber mount in this big hole. I drilled 2 more holes just so I could have adjustability. I've preferred to go with the center one. Works out well with clearance to this bar. So you need to really put rubber mounts in the bottom there. So on the bottom of the radiators, whether it's factory or aftermarket, they have these little metal mounts that go into rubber bushings. Here's a rubber bushing here. This goes in the bigger hole. I'm not using the bigger hole anymore, so I've drilled out my new holes to the 16 mil, and I've modified it. So I've taken out that the second, I don't even know what that is, that second portion of the mount, just so I could get some depth on this like shank part here. And then what this does is pretty cool, just sits in there pretty tight, and gives a nice rubber mount for those bottom teeth just to line up into, so it supports the radiator and it's happy days. So that's one cool little thing. Okay, she's done. Pretty happy with that. So took a few hours, but it's all plumbed up, looking really good, wired in, and wait till I crank this bad boy up, because she is powerful, man, especially compared to the 2 14 CFM 12-inch Aeroflow fans that I had before that were blowing, not sucking. Now I've just got one 16-inch 3000 plus CFM SPAL fan, however you say that. They're supposed to be the top-notch players. So what I'll do is I'll turn the camera around, I'll show you what I've done, what I've finalized. We'll go into the Link G4 and we'll do a test run on the fan, and I'll show you a little trick to see how powerful this puppy is, man. Boom. So tucked radiator, you can't even see it, to be honest. Looking pretty sexy. Alrighty, around the back here, you can see I've got the shroud with the fan. Not that much clearance, but there is enough clearance to not foul on the balancer there, which is nice. Don't worry about my little, I guess, what are those called? Shrouding here that I've cut out. It's just temporary, and there's one on this side as well. It's just so I can barricade off all this area and sort of keep all the heat out of here. Anyway, it's looking pretty good, all wired up. I've just got my relay sitting down here for now, nothing too fancy, but it come up pretty good. So what I've got on my setup is I've shrouded and ducted the whole front, so it goes bumper and then it's shrouded and everything. Then in between the radiator and the intercooler and underneath and on top, and you can obviously see that got my shrouds penetrating through here. So pretty much it's like a sealed tunnel. And the good thing about a sealed tunnel is, you'll see it in a second, when I crank up the fan and it sucks that way, it draws heaps of air through there. So when you're at idle, when you're sitting in traffic and your fan's going, you're pulling heaps of air through there, because it's not like pinching it from the sides anymore. It has to go through the front here. So that's one of the extra features when you duct all of your radiator to intercooler setup. So what we'll do is I'll just cruise over to my analog outputs. So it controls it on an analog output, the engine fan. And just click on there, go into my little function, it's set up as fan, but I'm going to do it as a little test feature. And if I just go bang, whoo, she's on. Like from here, I can feel it all just like, oh, it's amazing. Oh, look at the state of that. So that's how it should be. I don't even need to get my paper in there. And then, boom. Look at that. Can't even peel it off. Let's do that again. Huh. Now we're talking. So pretty happy with that. She is cranking. Woo! Mamma mia! I'm going to need a vented bonnet to get all this heat out. It's crazy, so I'll turn that off. Actually, I'll reset it back on to engine fan. Bang. Yeah, leave it like that. So, pretty stoked with the outcome, really. Obviously, there's quite a bit of work in it, just to, I guess, redo the mounts for the radiator. Everything's custom. It's just the way it is when you're doing custom stuff like this. So should come up really good. I can't take it out at the moment because one, I still need to bleed the system, and two, got really bad weather on the Gold Coast at the moment, so haven't taken the car out for a while. Anyway, fingers crossed tomorrow's good, and I'll give you some data on the temperature and everything like that. Peace. Boom. So amazing results actually. I've got to take it for a spin today. Just done all the Penrite red coolant, bled the whole system, took it for a spin, and honestly temperatures don't go above 83 degrees at the moment, so I'm super happy with that. Now I haven't taken it on a super sunny day where the ground's super hot, and then gone out to all of the big roads and it really sort of warmed the puppy up. But I definitely got the oil temperatures up nice and high. I was in traffic, I was idling, I was taking off, I was giving it some shit. And yeah, didn't go over 83 degrees. So as soon as it hits 83 degrees, fan kicks in, and then it'll drop temperatures straight away. The fan kicks off at 80, but temperatures drop to 79. I've never done that in my life before. So at this point, I'm super stoked with the results. So quick little recap. Fenix tucked radiator, SPAL, Italian over 3000 CFM radiator fan, pulling. Its own sort of reservoir with a high fill point, bled system with red coolant, Penrite coolant. She works a treat. Problem solved, dog. Hope you like. Don't forget, man, if you could subscribe, like, share, do anything that you can do to help out the channel. That'd be awesome. And adios.